From the studios of Farm Journal Broadcast, this is AgDay.
A snow day in farm country. The work taking place on the farm while others stay nice and warm inside. A new concern for firefighters in Southern California as winds grow. Plus, producers are keeping a close eye on commodities. Can corn top $5 and soybeans climb over 11?
Because it sure looks technically like that's possible.
What market watchers are saying right now on AgDay.
AgDay is brought to you by Pioneer. Put Pioneer brand corn's exclusive genetics on your team. Win with higher yields and industry-leading traits. Pioneer brand corn. Your best year starts here.
Good morning, I'm Clinton Griffiths. Ever since USDA's big data dump on Friday, grain markets have been trying to push sharply higher. But can they get over that psychological hump of $5 corn and $11 soybeans? AgDay's Michelle Rook joins me. Michelle, you've been keeping a close watch on the bulls for days.
Clinton, corn and soybeans had already rallied well off their contract lows before the bullish production cuts in the WASDE, and even Tuesday rallied into new highs for the move before seeing some profit taking and farmers selling. However, even with the tighter stocks and continued strong demand, market analysts tell me $5 and higher corn is more likely than $11 soybeans. The corn market is closing in on $5 with the push from USDA's cut in ending stocks to 1.54 billion bushels. But can corn make that mark?
I expect you're going to see some pickup in farmer selling, which is going to tend to make the going a little tougher on the top side. But I guess you'd have to have $5 as your upside objective at this point, because it sure looks technically like that's possible.
However, market analysts say fundamentally export demand will need to stay strong and push the stocks to use ratio below 10%.
When you do get to 10% stock to usage, any unexpected increase in exports or weather issues can really give the corn market a pop. And there's really no reason for the funds to, come out. In that situation, they would probably even hold on or add on if they think we could be below a 10% stock to usage.
Meanwhile, the soybean market may have more headwinds to get to $11, especially from South America.
With the soybean market, it's a little bit different. At 380 million bushels on the carryout, you've got about an 8% stock to usage, maybe 8.5%. But the market does realize we've got a monster crop brewing in Brazil.
I mean, you never say never on 11, but I would really be surprised with this South American crop, well, particularly the Brazilian crop developing the way it is. I think that's really going to be tough. And I know there's some concerns about Argentina, but it sure looks like the Brazilian crop's increasing in size a lot faster than the Argentine crop is shrinking.
And recent export demand from China for U.S. beans will soon be switching over to South America. But it could halt if the U.S. gets into another tariff battle.
A lot of people are hoping this is a negotiation tactic, but President Trump slapped tariffs on China, 6 years ago, and they're still intact.
This sets up a tug of war. The key will be if corn can pull soybeans up or if a lower soybean market caps a bigger rally in corn. I'm Michelle Rook reporting for AgDay.
All right, thanks, Michelle. We're also continuing to keep watch on South America's crops, and now Brazil's Agricultural Reporting Agency is raising its estimate for the 2025 soybean crop. CONAB releasing its forecast for the 2024-25 season as harvest gets underway. The agency raising soybean production 110,000 metric tons from last month to 166.3 million metric tons. Now that's still below most private forecasts for the crop. Meanwhile, it's trimming corn expectations, dropping production 80,000 metric tons to 119.5 million metric tons. CONAB says those changes are due to adjustments in planted acreage. It did not make changes to exports. Speaking of exports, there's already plenty of chatter around President-elect Trump's plans for tariffs. Now, Bloomberg is reporting Mr. Trump's team is studying gradual tariff hikes aimed at strengthening negotiating leverage while mitigating the impact of inflation. Now, the report says members of his economic team are considering tariff increases of 2 to 5% per month, adding that the proposal is in its early stages and has not yet been presented to Mr. Trump. The president-elect has talked at length about using tariffs as a tool in negotiations.
AgDay is sponsored by Germinator Closing Wheels. Germinator steel closing wheels, perfected in conventional, excels in no-till. Order 12 to 16 rows today and qualify for free shipping or 20% off an end zone moisture management package.
While the Midwest deals with chilly temperatures, the north central part of the U.S. is in for a warm-up. Meteorologist Alyssa Heilman has the very latest.
Exactly right. Those cold temperatures lingering around portions of the Midwest and the Great Lakes states, seeing temperatures just in the 20s, 21 in Chicago, 26 in Cincinnati, 27 in Minneapolis, and again, moving further east, so seeing some of those more eastern areas getting those colder temperatures, 25 in Rochester. That cold is going to move into areas like New York City and Richmond that are seeing the temperatures in the 30s right now. But then back to the north central United States, that cold has moved out, has moved further east, so they're seeing some of those warmer temperatures, 46 in Rapid City, 40 in Bismarck, 41 in Billings. Then going later into tomorrow morning, seeing temperatures again moderate but move further east with this cold air. And then again going into tomorrow afternoon, seeing that cold move even further, seeing temperatures drop in Richmond and New York City, like compared to what we saw for today, 32 New York City, 40 for Richmond for tomorrow. And farmers and ranchers are working hard to keep their animals protected in the bitter cold temperatures. Dustin Goldie of Ohio keeping these newborns warm at his farm. Dustin is a regular viewer of AgDay, and we want to thank him for helping us tell the story of America's farmers and ranchers. I'll have more on your forecast coming up.
It's not something firefighters and homeowners in Southern California wanted to see. High winds returning to the area. Right now, the biggest fires are still far from contained, and a new blaze started Monday night. Maribel Gonzalez is in the Pacific Palisades with an update.
Everybody here urges you to remain alert as danger has not yet passed.
This as fire crews have gained a foothold on the multiple fronts Tuesday. As of midday, the Hearst fire was at 97% contained, the Eaton at 35%, and the Palisades at 17%. A fourth ignition, the Auto fire, started near Ventura Monday night. At last check, it had burned over 50 acres as fire crews work to contain it.
We have approximately 88,000 residents that are still under evacuation orders.
Two other critical issues, power outages and water access in the Eaton fire area.
The necessary public safety power shutoffs are going to prevent our next fire from starting if we have down power lines. Additionally, we have checked the water system in the Eaton fire area and it is operational.
There was slightly hopeful news today from search and rescue efforts in burn zones.
The good news was that no other remains were found yesterday.
And talks of reopening neighborhoods to residents are moving forward slowly.
Repopulation conversations are absolutely active and ongoing. I don't want people to start thinking everything's okay now. Everything's not okay yet.
It's that yet that firefighters are battling to get closer to today.
Firefighters will continue to work tirelessly throughout the day to increase containment lines, prevent further spread, and address any flare-ups.
I'm Maribel Gonzalez reporting for AgDay.
Soybean producers may want to see this. Researchers say soybean cyst nematode continues to spread. Now take a look at this map from nematologist Greg Tilka at Iowa State. He found that there were 31 counties in 10 states that reported SCN for the very first time from 2020 through 2023. Now you can see them in blue. The areas in red are the previously known infestations. Now Tilka says SCN is now in every county of Illinois and Iowa, the nation's top two soybean producing states. And he adds that just because an area isn't reporting SCN doesn't mean the fields are free of pathogens. There are currently more than 900 soybean cyst nematode resistant varieties available to farmers. Grains took a breather while livestock turned green on Tuesday. Michelle Rook will break down the day's trade coming up next. And later, there's no letdown for farmers taking care of animals this winter. The chores must go on. We'll spend a snow day in Arkansas in the country. Soybeans trying to push higher on Tuesday with help from China buying 7.2 million bushels. AgDay's Michelle Rook has more on recent grain prices in markets now.
Corn, soybeans, and live cattle all lower on Tuesday. Dwayne Bussey with Bolt Marketing is back with us. Corn and soybeans just taking a little profit-taking break here. Did we run up into chart resistance there, you say?
A little bit of both. Yeah, we ran up into some resistance. 480 is kind of a big point for March corn. And also, like you said, we've had 3 days of some really nice buying, a lot of fun buying, but it was also met with a lot of farmers selling too. So looking at the charts, I guess I always think the markets like to stay fairly close to some of those moving day averages.
So Dwayne, just because we had a little pullback here does not mean the rally is over, right?
I'm a bear short term. I do think okay, we've extended for a while here. I think the funds will pause, pull back. But no, it doesn't mean the rally's done, especially maybe for the corn markets. We can still have some upside here. The soybean market, on the other hand, Michelle, I mean, if it does continue to rally, I would be surprised. And I would call it kind of a hated rally because there's a lot of so-called experts like myself that say that soybeans need to be sold here. And that's what we're doing through our office, is selling the old crop soybeans. And if they continue to rally, we're going to scale up, sell the new crop beans because the fundamentals just don't look very good.
Yeah. So what do the funds do next here? They're long corn and maybe flat soybeans, but what's the next move?
Well, right. I'm glad you asked that because, I think the funds right now are flat soybeans and the funds don't do flat. That's why I'm kind of questioning. Maybe we'll have a hated soybean rally because maybe they go from being short to long this market. But I think this is one of those rare circumstances where they pause for a little while. We get some rains coming in Argentina, or we find out the Brazil crop is so large it's going to offset the losses in Argentina. And I think they could start selling all over again and get record short if we really do have this big world stock increase of like 20% year over year.
And 2 down days in live cattle futures. Is this the healthy correction in a otherwise bigger bull market?
Well, kind of the same deal. This market, even if you're a bull, needed a pause, needed to step back a little bit. I will say I'm getting just a touch nervous. I mean, the fundamentals look great, right? Record cash cow prices, record feeder cattle cash prices, but I'm getting nervous, and I would like producers to practice some risk management strategies up here. These are really high levels, and they need to be protected.
Thanks so much, Dwayne Bussey with Bolt Marketing. We'll have more AgDay coming out.
For marketing advice, call Bolt Marketing, a futures and options brokerage firm.
Let's take a look at the jet stream, where we know there are cold temperatures to the east, where we're seeing all of this blue and the dip in that jet stream as well. Again, moving further east, bringing the colder temperatures there, but warmer temperatures back out in north central and to western portions of the United States, where they're seeing a bit of a ridging, of course, in this jet stream, and that moves further east. That jet stream, the ridging there, moving further east, bringing some moderate conditions for Thursday and Friday for a good portion of the United States. Then before the weekend, when we start to see another dip in the jet stream, cold temperatures expected as more Arctic air moves back into a large portion of the United States, and especially the northern portions of the United States as we go through Sunday and then into next week as well, seeing all of this very deep trough, which again is bringing some very cold air, some cold temperatures to a large portion of the Midwest and into the Great Lakes region as well as we go through the beginning portion of next week. Temperature outlook for January 24th to the 27th. Well, we're seeing below normal temperatures for the majority of the United States. Again, that has to do with that cold air that's coming from the Arctic, that ridging or that trough that we just saw again on the jet stream there. Cold temperatures expected to linger around. And then looking at precipitation, well, there's a good amount of areas that are just going to see some normal amounts of precipitation as this January 21st to 27th outlook, and then some areas, especially to the south, wetter than normal, and some areas drier than normal as we go to western portions of the United States on this precipitation outlook. Turning to Canton, Mississippi, we're seeing mostly sunny, high of 57, low of 31. Huron, South Dakota, high of 39, low of 24. Rutland, Vermont, high of 22, low of just 8 degrees.
USDA has decided to extend increased line speed trials at pork facilities. Its new swine inspection system, Increased Line Speed Trials, will run through the middle of May. The National Pork Producers Council calling it a win for efficiency in feeding a growing population and alleviating supply issues. Now, officials say after completing months-long studies at 6 pork processing plants, line speeds were not determined to be a leading factor in worker safety risks at the plants. MPPC says without those increased line speeds, some pork producers could have seen an additional loss of nearly $10 a head in the first and second quarters of last year. The faster line speeds have been in operation for more than 3 years. Some new dishes could soon be on the menu at restaurants in Honduras, including items made with U.S. pork. The U.S. Meat Export Federation recently hosting a series of training seminars for chefs at resorts and hotels across Honduras. Experts say a key to the success of the program is pairing U.S. beef and pork with local ingredients.
People really want, yes, good U.S. product, but also they want a local taste. So it was fascinating to see what they came up with using plantain, using mangoes, using coconut, which, applied to all these wonderful U.S. beef and pork products. I mean, the outcome was absolutely outstanding. And I actually took some very good ideas for myself and for other regions around the world.
A strong demand in Honduras helped fuel a record-breaking year for U.S. pork exports to Central America in 2024. But no matter the weather, farmers still have chores to do. We're off to Arkansas for a snow day, next in the country. Snow has blanketed much of the country as of late, and while most people spend the day in the warmth of their homes and offices, many farmers still must brave the elements to take care of their animals and farm. The Arkansas Farm Bureau gathered scenes from around the state of producers doing just that. Our thanks to the Arkansas Farm Bureau for sharing those chilly scenes. And that's all the time we have this morning. We're sure glad you tuned in. From all of us here at AgDay, I'm Clinton Griffiths. Have a great day on Farm Country.